Time? Time for what?
Come on, Grandpa, you're teasing me. It's time for you to read the Cowboy Christmas story, like you do every year.
Is it Christmas already? It can't be.
Stop teasing, see? There's the tree and there's your book. Now don't skip anything.
Well, okay, if I can find my glasses.
Grandpa, they're on your head like they always are. Besides, you probably have the story memorized by now.
That's true, but there's nothing like reading words off a page. Let's see here. The Healing City, Chapter 1. A stranger comes to town. The story has been told and retold for almost 50 years now, and every time it's been told, it's been changed a bit. I heard that the story happened in Australia, New Zealand, England. Maybe something like this did happen in those places, but this is my story, so I'm here to tell you that it happened in my hometown. Where's that? It doesn't really matter. You probably never heard of it anyway. No one has. Although I didn't realize it at the time, none of us did, the story began one Christmas season many years ago. The story began in the foothills of the Rockies when a stranger arrived, unnoticed, in a small town not yet known as the Healing City.
Oh, if you're here with supplies, you just put them on the counter. Otherwise, the note is hanging on the door. Just sign your name and reason on the way out.
Please, my son's hurt.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am. Well, what have we got here?
It's nothing. Mom's just fussing. I got thrown again is all. That thunder's just too wild for me. Can't even stay on it long enough to get bucked off. It seems all he has to do is snort too loudly and I fall off. Only thing that's really hurt is my pride.
Well, you did right by coming in, but well, as you can see, I'm not ready for business. It'll take me a minute to find my medical supplies.
Doctor, I believe your bag's under the chair.
Thanks. So, you guys lived here with me?
Quite a while.
Okay, here we go.
I realize you're a doctor and all. You just moved to town. But for a doctor, you don't seem very organized. You sure you went to medical school?
Well, New York's finest. And if you'll pardon me for saying so, ma'am, for a layperson,
Good word choice.
you're pretty good with a Band-Aid.
But you can't be a mom for nearly 20 years and not know something about Band-Aids.
Well, your husband must be proud.
I'm a widow.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
It's
to.
all right. You didn't know. It's been nearly 20 years.
I am sorry. It must be tough.
Tough. Let me tell you, she's the toughest dad a boy ever had.
That's right, and don't you forget it. Say, Doctor...
That's Stuart. Stuart Thomas. They call me Stu. Dr. Thomas sounds a bit too formal for a Montana doctor.
Stu it is then. I'm Marcy, and this is my son, Joey.
Howdy.
Well, howdy right back at you.
Thanks for patching me up, Doc. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, but it was your mom that did all the work.
I know. I just wanted to make you feel good. I make her feel good all the time.
Say, Doctor, Stu, you said you went to medical school in New York. So what brings you to a one-horse town in Montana? We don't even have paved streets.
Well, that's why I came. You know, a man can only take so much of the big city before he goes crazy. I wanted to leave before that happened to me. But most of my friends told me that coming to Montana was proof that I'd already gone crazy. But looking around, I'm not so sure that this is a one-horse town. Now, there are more horses within 100 miles of here than there are people. I'm beginning to think I'd make more money if I was a vet.
That's probably true. To be honest, I'm not sure Ronan, Montana can keep a doctor in business. We had the only hospital between Missoula and Kalispell, and it was forced to close down a couple of years ago. There just wasn't enough need to keep up with expenses.
Well, as long as Joey keeps Old Thunder around, I'll stay in business. The truth is, I didn't come out here for the money. I don't expect it to cost me much to live here.
Are you planning on living in this barn along with setting up shop here?
Joey!
Well, that's just plain crazy.
And that was just plain rude. Weren't you going to talk like that?
Well, it's the truth.
Well, I know, but it's still rude.
I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
I don't want to dampen your spirits any, but Joey's right. Our winters here are really rough. And this barn is drafty. And it'll be expensive to repair, let alone heat.
Oh, I don't mind. Money's not a problem. I did well in New York. I'm not rich, mind you, even by Montana standards. But I had some money set aside.
Well, it can't be enough to repair this old barn.
Joey!
Sorry.
That's okay. Truth is, I have enough money to live on for quite a while. Now, I have some investments in New York that keep me going. Now, I know people here don't have much money. That's why I'm not going to charge them for my services.
But that's crazy.
Mother!
Sorry. Now I know where Joey learned it. Stu, there's something you need to know about these people. The Indians here have a rich heritage on this land, and their families have been here for hundreds of years. And the Cowboys, let's just say Montana Cowboys don't have a shortage of pride. They don't accept charity, no matter how much they may need it at times. And they won't respect you if they think you feel sorry for them.
Well, what do you suggest then? I don't want to take their money when I don't need it. And I know how hard it is to come by.
Well, let the people pay you in kind.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, the ranchers don't have much money, but they do have cattle or sheep. And even the people who live in town have chickens. And everyone has a garden. Well, they keep your pantry full all winter.
Now that sounds like a good idea. That is, if I ever have the opportunity to put it into practice. No pun intended.
What do you mean, Doc?
Or do you remember what I said to you when you first came in?
About putting supplies on the counter? But we didn't bring any supplies.
No, I mean this. Now, I've been working here day and night for almost 3 weeks. And in that time, I think everyone in town has stopped by. Except they didn't come in for my excellent medical care. Everyone had their own story of how and why I was foolish to try and open up a clinic here. I finally got so tired of it, I just put up the note and told people to fill it in on your way out the door. Figured to keep them happy, I wouldn't waste too much time jabbering and get some work done.
It's a mighty formidable list.
Formidable. Now that's a good word for it. You should be a writer.
That's what I want to be. At least writing doesn't lay me on my keister in the mud.
Go for it then.
No, I'm only a Montana cowboy. I couldn't write anything that anyone would want to read about.
Well, if you give up that easily, then maybe you're right.
Doc, that's not fair. You don't even know me to talk to me like that.
Then prove me wrong.
I will. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a horse to break. Thanks, Mom, for patching me up.
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Well, little lady, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. But he is right about one thing, though. This is a formidable list. A lot of good reasons why this can't work.
Well, if you give up that easily, maybe they're right.
Are all the people in this town as tough as you?
No, only the men. So you mentioned you had a couple of ideas of how to help these people. Well, so far you've only mentioned one. What else are you thinking?
Well, like I said, I have some investments in New York that are doing well. A long time ago, an anonymous benefactor helped me out without my knowing it at the time. Now, because of what he did for me, I was able to go into the medical profession in the first place. I want to return the favor and set up a fund, anonymously, to help the people of Ronan. Now, the money can be used to help people in times of emergencies. Kind of like having a financial clinic alongside my medical clinic to help meet the needs of both body and soul. Well, maybe it could be used to help farmers in times of drought or floods or, well, whatever it is that destroys crops around here. Now, I've read enough Little House on the Prairie books to know that you can have a good crop every year.
That sounds great, Stu. But like I said, the people won't accept charity.
Now, don't get me wrong here. It's not charity. There are 2 conditions behind every financial gift.
What conditions?
Everyone that receives a gift must agree to 2 things. First, they must accept that it is a gift given in the name of Jesus Christ. And second, as soon as their own emergency is over, they must find someone else to bless. Anonymously, of course. Now, there is a Bible principle here. Well, let me show you. Now, my study Bible is still packed away, but I keep an easy-to-read devotional Bible in my waiting. Oh, here it is. Let's see, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. What a wonderful God we have. He is the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the source of every mercy and the one who so wonderfully comforts and strengthens us in our hardships and trials. And why does he do this? So that when others are troubled, needing our sympathy and encouragement, we can pass on to them the same help and comfort God has given us. And look over here at verse 9. Here it says, a farmer who plants just a few seeds will only get a small crop. But if he plants much, he will reap much. And down here it says, God is able to make it up to you by giving you everything you need and more, so that there will not only be enough for your own needs, but plenty left over to give joyfully to others. It is as the scriptures say, the godly man gives generously to the poor. His good deeds will be an honor to him forever. For God, who gives seed to the farmer to plant, and later on good crops to harvest and eat, will give you more and more seed to plant. It will make it grow so that you can give away more and more fruit from your harvest. Yes, God will give you much so that you can give away much. And when we take our gifts to those who need them, they will break out into thanksgiving and praise to God for your help. So two good things happen as a result of your gifts. Those in need are helped, and they overflow with thanks to God. Those you help will be glad not only because of your generous gifts to themselves and to others, but they will praise God for this proof that your deeds are as good as your doctrine. And they will pray for you with deep fervor and feeling because of the wonderful grace of God shown through you. Now, do you see the principle?
I'm not sure.
It's simple. First, we need to understand that every trial we go through is so that we can somehow use that trial to bless others. And second, the more we bless others, the more God blesses us so that we can continue to bless others. It's a never-ending cycle. Kind of like when you skip a pebble across the water. The ripple effect just keeps on going. Now, Miss Mossy, because I've revealed my true mission in life to you, I must swear you to secrecy.
You mean your true mission in life is to be a bad actor?
My mission in life is to be a healer, but not just a doctor. That is only my cover. Now, I pretend to be a mild-mannered doctor in order to sneak in undercover. And then when I'm certain no one is looking, I transform myself into the healer, mender of broken bones and broken hearts. Well, think of it, Marcy. Every time God blesses us or meets our needs, and we in turn use that blessing to meet the needs of others, think what that would mean to those around us. It could change the whole city. We could go from meek and mild Ronan to the healing city. And there's no reason for it to stop there. Why I want to share God's blessings so much, I might just start praying for a few more disasters around here, just so I can show more people the blessings of God.
Stuart Thomas, you may not be much of a cowboy, but you certainly are a character.
Guilty as charged.
Oh, you're guilty, all right. I'm just not sure what you're guilty of. But seriously, I did see something on this list you need to think about and real soon.
Oh, well, what's that?
This barn is drafty, and the worst of winter isn't far away. Here in the mountains, the snow can sneak up on you overnight. And even if you were to work around the clock, you still couldn't make this place both a home and a clinic before the serious snow comes. And if you were to try, before long you'd need a doctor yourself, and then where would the town be?
Well, what do you suggest? Now, I have some money, but I really didn't want to
I'm
have to
not
buy.
suggesting you buy anything. I have a little rooming house. It isn't fancy, but it's warm, and the cooking's good. At least most of the guests are tolerable most of the time.
Well, you certainly know how to make an attractive offer. But like I said, I don't want to have to be able to pay you.
I'm not talking about paying. I'll give you the same deal you're making with the town. You just keep Joey bandaged, and I'll keep you full of the best fried chicken apple pie you can eat. So, what do you say, Doc?
Well, I'd say I found myself a new landlady. And I'll be the judge of that fried chicken and apple pie. But I do have one question. Now, if I stay with you, what am I supposed to do with all the home canned goods that the ranchers pay me for?
Stonehearted can always use more groceries.
You know, if I didn't know better, I'd say you planned it this way.
Maybe I did.
Well, lead the way. I'm getting hungry.
So what do you think, everyone? Is this the year we finally
Replace the old star on the top of the tree, or will it do for one more year? Marcy, you have asked that question every Christmas since you've had this place. Don't see that it matters. No one but us is going to see the tree anyway, and we all know what that stupid star looks like. Oh, it will be fine for another year.
Dinner's almost ready. About another 20 minutes.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome, sweetie.
I don't see why she does that every night. The dinner has been the same time every night for 20 years.
Why aren't we in a good mood tonight?
Sorry.
That's just her way. It makes her feel special, like she's important.
She's just a cook, for goodness sakes.
She is not just a cook. She's my mother. And she's important to us. And you don't look like her cooking's hurt you any.
Come on, Buck, it's almost Christmas. If you don't start being nice, Santa won't bring you anything. Why don't you come play checkers with me until dinner? It's no fun playing myself. I always lose.
Oh, all right. I'm not gonna get this book read anyway with all this jabbering going on.
You've read that book 4 times already. You should have the ending memorized by now. I would think you could find something better to do with your time than reread the same book over and over.
Hey, Greenhorn, St. Gray's a classic. Besides, you're a fine one to talk. All you ever do is write in that stupid diary of yours. At least St. Gray's good writing.
It's not a diary, it's a journal.
And the difference, Greenhorn, is...
Say, shouldn't someone go get Doc Stewart? He may not remember when dinner is.
Are you volunteering?
I'm just saying, he may not remember.
I know what you were saying. Now, come on, it's your move.
I think it'll be nice having a real doctor in town again. Especially since they're talking about such a hard winter.
Mom, this is Montana. Have you ever seen a good winter?
Not recently. But it'll be nice not having to go all to Missoula or Kalispell for a doctor in an emergency.
I don't know. I stopped in to take a look at that new clinic of his. Doesn't look like much of an operation to me.
He's just getting started. At least let him get his clinic open before you try to get it closed down. I'd like to see his business in town.
What you mean is you'd like to see a new man in town.
There goes your present from Santa. Miss Murphy is right. This town needs new blood if it's to survive.
And think how much it'll help Old Man Sloan to have a real doctor in town.
Joey, I have told you not to refer to him as Old Man Sloan. It's disrespectful.
So is he.
He is not disrespectful. He's
Yes.
lonely. He's lonely, that's all. Now let's not spoil our supper with this kind of talk. Miss Murphy, would you like to go see if Stu's about ready for supper?
Right away.
Oh, no need. My stomach told me it was almost supper time. Now I'm looking forward to some of your famous fried chicken and apple pie.
Well, it ain't the Colonel's, but it'll fill the hole in your gut.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You can take that however you like, just stating a fact.
Stu, I'm really impressed with what you've accomplished at the clinic. That place was a real eyesore, even before Doc Holland took it over as vet clinic. It's one of the few buildings that survived the fire. Personally, I think it would have been better if it had burned.
Now, is that the fire of 1912 or 1928?
It was the one in 1912. That was the big one. Well, my dad said the first time the town burned, that was God's way of telling us we had no right to take that land from the Indian. And what few businesses were left, well, they should have taken a hint and moved on. Of course, no one around here listens to him. But I'll say one thing about the stubborn cowboys around here. They have tenacity.
Well, I don't know much about Ronan cowboys, but I sure could use a healthy dose of that tenacity myself. And there's times when I wonder if all the work is worth it. Maybe I should just pack up and return to New York.
Well, if you give up that easily, maybe you're right.
Say, I was so tired when I walked in here, I didn't even notice that mighty fine Christmas tree.
Well, it doesn't look very Christmassy yet. Maybe after supper you can help us decorate it.
Oh, I'd love to. Bet I make it a habit of going to bed early on Saturday night so I can wake up refreshed and ready for church on Sunday. Now, I've been out of town the last several weekends on business trips, so this will be my first Sunday in church here.
Church? There ain't no church in this town.
Well, what do you mean? I saw that old clapboard church when I first arrived. It's back in the main street.
Doc, that church has been closed for years. Not even the church mice live there anymore. There isn't a parson within 50 miles of here.
But are there Christians in town?
Yes, at least I think so.
Then I'm going to church tomorrow. For now, let's just get started on that fried chicken. Maybe after supper, there'll still be time to at least get started on that tree before bedtime.
Well, I don't see why you're so anxious to go to bed. You sleep enough as it is. But by the time you got up this morning, I'd already fed the livestock, went to town and back, read the paper, had breakfast, and read a chapter of my Zane Grey book while finishing my second cup of coffee. Of course, I forget. You New Yorkers sleep till noon. By then, we've done a full day's work.
Not on Sunday, I hope. Now, even God rested one day a week.
God's not a cowboy.
Well, Buck, why are you so concerned that I wake up early tomorrow? Unless you're planning on going to church with me.
Might as well. Way I see it, if a man's gonna make a fool of himself, there ought to be someone there to appreciate it.
Don't mind him. I think he's just as excited as you are about seeing that old church open again. Truth is, we'd all like to see that church open. It has been too long since we had anyone around here to remind us of God's Word. There used to be a strong Christian community here, but over time, we just kind of drifted apart. It's not that we're all that bad, mind you. We're just not as close to God as we used to be.
Well, what would cause a whole town to drift away? Now, that's not natural. An individual drifting away from God, now that I can understand. But a whole town? That doesn't make sense.
Something happened about 20 years ago in town. I don't know all the details, but I do know it brought a church split. Split isn't exactly the right word. The truth is, church just died. We never got around to burying it. We just closed the doors and ignored it. For nearly 20 years, that building has stood as a reminder to all of us of something. Of what, I'm not sure.
Nearly 20 years ago.
Joey,
but
let's
Mom...
go see if supper's about ready. Although suddenly I don't feel very hungry.
Doc, have you got a minute?
I have all afternoon. But what's on your mind?
Well, since everyone's gone for the afternoon, I thought we might talk.
Sounds good to me. I was about half asleep just sitting here. Where is everyone?
Mom and Grandma went to check on Mr. Sloan. He hasn't been to town for several weeks, and they were concerned about him. He had a bad fall last winter, and he's had a difficult time ever since. He doesn't have any family, and it's hard for him to get around on his own anymore. He's too stubborn to ask anyone for help.
Now, I understand.
Anyway, Mom and Grandma went to check on him, and Buck and Miss Murphy went into town together on a secret mission.
You mean together? Like, together? After last night, I figured Miss Murphy and Buck would be the last two people who would want to be seen together.
That, believe me, that's all talk. Buck just talks mean because he thinks that's what a cowboy's supposed to do. And Miss Murphy, I know she really likes him. She's just shy is all. I guess that's why they call her Miss Murphy.
You know, Joey, you're really observant. Well, someday that's going to help you become a great writer.
Think so?
I think so. And I'm sorry about what I said to you at the clinic. Now, I didn't mean...
It's okay. I know what you meant. You were only trying to help. I figured it out once it cooled down.
You really are observant.
I try to be.
You know what I've observed?
What?
That you're the only cowboy I know that doesn't have a cowboy hat. Now, how about you and I go down to the old feed and seed after the snow stops and pick you out a nice one? Every cowboy has to have a hat. Just like every doctor has to have a stethoscope. My treat.
I can't.
Why? If it's about the money, it's my treat.
No, it's not about the money. Well, have you heard Buck call me Greenhorn?
Sure, but he's just teasing. And what does that have to do with a cowboy hat?
It's tradition around here. Buck calls me Greenhorn because he knows I don't like it. And because that's what I am. Around here, you're called Greenhorn until you do something that proves you're a real cowboy. That's when you get your first hat. You can't buy it yourself. Someone else has to get it for you, or it doesn't count. It's like a badge of honor or a rite of passage. Once you've proven to someone that you're a real cowboy, then you get your first hat. To Buck, I'll always be Greenhorn. Maybe he's right. He's always telling me I don't know anything about life. that I could never become a writer because I haven't had any experiences yet.
Now that's nonsense. You've had plenty of experiences to write about.
Like what?
Like thunder.
That's not experience, that's humiliation.
And what have you learned from your humiliation?
That pride goeth before a fall, but much faster afterwards.
Then write that.
Why? No one wants to read about falling off a horse.
Joey, have you ever ridden a subway?
Of course not. I've never even seen one, except on television.
Well, that's my point. Now, people in New York ride subways everywhere and never think anything about it. But very few New Yorkers have ever had the opportunity to get bucked off a horse. Now, the life of a Montana cowboy would be an exciting adventure for him.
I guess so.
Joey, don't write about experiences you're still waiting for. Write what you already know about.
I'm only a Montana cowboy.
You're not only a Montana cowboy. You are a Montana cowboy. And always remember, Joey, you can take the cowboy out of Montana, but you can't take Montana out of the cowboy, so don't try.
Thanks for the advice, Doc. I think you understand me better than anyone else does, except maybe Mom. But she's Mom, so she doesn't count. Oh, don't tell her I said that.
I won't. But I would like to read some of your writings sometime, if you'd allow me.
I appreciate that, but no one's ever read my work before. Not even Mom. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Oh, speaking of work, I need to go brush down Thunder before I put him in for the night.
Hey, need some help?
Nah, I think he's beginning to like me. Well, see you at supper.
Joey, when you came in here, you said you wanted to talk, but well, I'm the one that's done most of the talking. Now, was there something else on your mind?
Oh, I almost forgot. I wanted to thank you for preaching this morning. It did this town a lot of good to hear a sermon again.
Well, thanks, but I'm not really a preacher. Now, I tried that once for a while, and, well, let's just say I have a more effective ministry as being a doctor than I would being a preacher. Now, this way I can still help people without having to say. Now, don't you have to go brush down Thunder?
Right. Well, see you at supper.
See ya.
Doc, I know I said I'm not ready for anyone to read my writing yet, but I have some things in here from other writers. I've never shown them to anyone before, but, well, I'd like to show them to you, if you don't mind.
Well, I'd like that very much. Do you have a favorite?
I like this one. It's a cowboy prayer. I found it in a magazine. I don't understand all of what it says, but I think I understand all of what it feels.
Well, let's hear it.
A Cowboy's Christmas Prayer by S. Barker. I ain't much good at praying, Lord, and you may not know me, for I ain't much seen in churches where they preach thy holy word. But you may have seen me, Lord, out here on the lonely plains, looking after cattle and feeling thankful when it rains, admiring thy great handiwork, the miracle of the grass, aware of thy kind spirit and the way it comes to pass. That hired help on horseback and the cattle that we tend can look up at the stars at night and know we've got a friend. So here's old Christmas coming on, reminding us again of him whose coming brought goodwill into the hearts of men. A cowboy ain't no preacher, Lord, but if you'll hear my prayer, I'll ask as good as we have got for all men everywhere. Don't let no hearts be bitter, Lord. Don't let no child be cold. Make easy the beds of them that's sick, and them that's weak and old. Let kindness bless the trail we ride, no matter what we're after, and sort of keep us on your side, in tears as well as laughter. I've seen old cows a-starving. It ain't no happy sight. Please don't leave no one hungry, Lord, on thy good Christmas night. No man, no child, no woman, and no critter on 4 feet. I'll do my doggone best to help you find them chuck to eat. I'm just a sinful cowpoke, Lord, but still, I hope you'll catch a word of what I'm saying. We speak of Merry Christmas, Lord, but I reckon you'll agree, there ain't no Merry Christmas for nobody that ain't free. So one thing more I ask you, Lord, just help us what you can, to save some seeds of freedom for the future sons of man.
Well, I'm with you, Joey. I think I understand how he feels. And you know what? I'll just bet whoever wrote that has probably never been on a subway either.
Think so?
I think so.
Well, Thunder's waiting. We'll see you at supper.
See you, Joey. Well, it's going to be pretty sore for a while. I have to say it'll be a few weeks before old Thunder bucks you off again, but I think...
Doc, I am never going near that horse again.
Yes, you will. You know what they say about falling off a bicycle?
Mom, Thunder ain't no bicycle. I'm telling you, I am
Not
never
for a couple more weeks, anyway. Now, Marcy, it looks like you were right about Joey and Thunder keeping me in business. Now, before our distraction with our little cowboy here,
Greenhorn is more like it.
since Joey gave us a fright, you haven't had a chance to tell us about your visit with, Mr. Sloan, was it?
Well, Mom and I didn't get a chance to see him. That balloon is moving in pretty quickly. We saw Renee answer the post office when we were in town, and she said she checked on him for us. He doesn't live too far from her, and she checks on him from time to time. Well, she was afraid we wouldn't make it back before the blizzard hit full force. I offered to send Buck up to check on him.
I don't remember
She
volunteering.
reminded me he'd never been there. We didn't find it in the snow.
Here, Joey, Grandma had one piece of apple pie left.
Thanks, but I'm not hungry.
An apple a day keeps the... Oh, sorry, Doctor.
That's all right. That apple pie is better medicine than anything I could give him right now.
Well, we'll just set it down over here and you can get it when you're hungry. Say, Doc, I was thinking about your sermon this morning, especially about where you said that telling the truth frees the soul from bondage. What did you mean?
Well, let's see, I think I can remember the Bible references I used. Proverbs 12:19 says, "For the lips of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment." And Zechariah 8:16 says, "Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor." Now to me, this means that when we lie, we bind ourselves to the bondage of living that lie. But when we are willing to forsake that lie and tell the truth, we free ourselves from that bondage. Now if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said.
Well, I understand that part, but what I don't understand is what you meant by presenting ourselves as a living sacrifice to God.
He meant, if it's fun, don't do it.
Not exactly, Buck. Now the verse is Romans 12:1. And if you read the entire chapter, you'll see that the emphasis isn't on what we don't do, but what we do for God and others. Well, let me grab my notes and I'll show you. My note journal should be around here somewhere.
Is that it there on the table?
Thanks. Let's see here. Here we are. Romans 12:1.
Hello, Stoneheart Inn. Marcy, it's Renee Anderson. You've got to get me Dr. Thomas. It's about Mr. Sloan. It's an emergency. Stu, it's Renee Anderson. She says it's an emergency.
But what's wrong, Renee?
Dr. Thomas, it's Mr. Sloan. You've got to hurry.
Oh, wait. What happened?
There's no time to explain. Just hurry.
Look, I need to know what happened to know how to help.
With the blizzard coming, I wanted to get some extra supplies to him before he got snowed in. Renee's the lady I told you about. She's Mr. Sloan's closest neighbor, and she tries to keep an eye on him ever since his accident last year. Anyway, I put a couple of supplies and some boxes in the back of my truck. I knew my car would never make it up that mountain. I wasn't even sure about my truck, but it made it. I got there and I knocked, but he didn't answer. I knew he had to be there. He hasn't left that place since his accident. I got scared, so I kicked the door. That's when I saw him laying there. The right side of his face was kind of droopy. He couldn't really see much. And he was trying to mumble something, but I couldn't tell what he was trying to say. So I just threw a blanket on him and got to a phone as soon as I could. You've got to help him.
All right. I'll get to the clinic and get my bag.
And there's no time. You still might get to the clinic, but you'll never make it up the mountain. Not even in a four-wheel drive. You'll never find the road. We've got to do something. We can't just leave him there.
Renee, I don't know how yet, but we'll get there as soon as possible. Now, I'll keep the party line open in case you need to call or we need more information. But for now, don't worry. Now, I'll keep you posted. I'll do the doctoring. You just pray. Marcy, I need you to get a spare bed fixed up. We're going to need lots of extra bedding, too.
Okay.
Buck, now there's still time for you to make it from here to the clinic and back before the snow gets too deep if you hurry. Now, my bag is on my desk in my office. Bring that. There's a key in the top center desk drawer that goes to the medicine cabinet behind the desk. Now, there's no time for you to figure out which medicines to bring, so Well, grab one of the boxes out of the front room where I've been unpacking things. Fill it with every medicine I've got. Do that and then get back.
Now, Doc, I don't think that's the best idea.
Right now, I don't care what you think. Now, I'm the doctor. Just go. Well, take Miss Murphy with you. She can help load the medicines. Go! Elizabeth, get out the biggest coffee pot you've got. This is going to be a long night. And we're going to need sandwiches and broth for William. I don't know when he's eaten last, so I'm going to try and get some nourishment.
Okay, consider it done, Doc.
What can I do? There's got to be something that
I
I
hate
can
to
do.
say this, Joey, but you're going to have to go get Mr. Sloan yourself.
I can't even walk.
Joey, I'm counting on you. Now, we can't get to Mr. Sloan by truck. You're going to have to take Thunder. It's the only way to get up that mountain.
There's no way I can make it up.
It's
there like
the
that.
only way, Joey. You have to do this. There's no one else to send. Now, Buck has never been up to Mr. Sloan's cabin. He'll never find it in all this snow. And I'm a New York doctor. What do I know about horses?
But you're a stallion trainer. I know
I'm
that's-
a what?
Mom explained the ST brand to me. I know it stands for stallion trainer.
Joey, this is no time to be talking about old scars. I'll explain later. Look, I know you're hurt, and I know you're scared, but you can do this. Now I'm going to hook Thunder up to the sled out behind the barn. When you get to the cabin, carefully put Mr. Sloan in the sled. Now we may have some other injuries that we don't know about. He won't be able to tell you if he does. Wrap him up with as many blankets as you can find, and then carefully tie him down into the sled. Look around for any medicine bottles he might have laying around, and then get back here as quick as you can.
But Doc, I can't even walk.
Joey, you can do this. Here, let me help you with your boot.
Ah,
Sorry. Let's try this. I think this will be big enough for it won't hurt. There. Let's go.
Doc, you called Mr. Sloan William. How did you know that was his name?
No, I think you heard me wrong.
I didn't hear you wrong.
I think I heard you or your mom call
Doc,
him.
we have never called him William. Now, how did you know that was his name?
I think maybe
Let's
that I
just
heard.
say Ronan's a town full of secrets and leave it at that.
You and I need to talk. Just as soon as I get Joey and Thunder taken care of. Come on, Joey.
Would anyone like some hot
No
coffee and
food.
sandwiches?
Food is not the answer to everything.
Sorry, I was only trying to help.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We know you just want to help. He didn't mean it.
I can speak for myself. I'm sorry. We're all just a little tense. The way you started.
I think I heard something. Are they back yet?
It's just the wind. Now don't worry, they're gonna be here any minute.
How can you say don't worry? That's not your son out there in a blizzard. How could you send him out there like that? You don't even know if he made it to Mr. Sloan's cabin. For all you know, he could have...
Everyone, why don't you all go check and make sure the spare room is set up? Marcy, it's time we talk.
I didn't mean that. Just scared. I know you did what you thought was necessary. It's just that since...
You know who I am, don't you?
Or who you're not. I know you're not Stu Thomas.
How'd you find out?
It wasn't hard. When you run a boarding house, you meet a lot of friendly people who like to talk, especially the old timers.
Do the others know?
I doubt it. No one said anything. Don't flatter yourself, Stu. You're not the only topic of conversation around here.
Why did you tell Joey that my mark stood for stallion trainer?
It's all I could think of at the moment. I may be a good cook, but I never claimed to be very creative.
So you know my name isn't Stu Thomas. Do the others know?
I doubt it. No one said anything. Don't flatter yourself, Stu. You're not the only topic of conversation around here.
Why did you tell Joey that my mark stood for stallion trainer?
It's all I could think of at the moment. I may be a good cook, but I never claimed to be very creative.
So you know my name isn't Stu Thomas. Are you going to tell the others about me?
Not unless you give me a reason to. We all have our secrets.
How long have you known?
Since we met, saw your mark and put your watch on at the clinic.
You still haven't told me why the story about me being a stallion trainer.
Like I said, it was all I could think of at the time. I didn't know whether Joey'd seen your mark or not, and I had to think of something just in case he asked. And it wasn't hard to figure out. You made up the name Stu Thomas as a cover for the mark, something you could easily explain away to New Yorkers or strangers on the street who would ask about it. But I knew if Joey mentioned to the wrong people in town, that could mean big trouble for you. Trouble you might not be able to explain away very easily. So I had to come up with something just in case.
Well, I appreciate that. But what do I do now? I've blown my own cover. I told Joey that I didn't know anything about horses. So how can I be a stallion trainer?
Is this where I say, physician, heal thyself? You could start by telling the truth. I've heard it's good for freeing the soul from bondage. A wise man once said if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you've said. Stu, for whatever there is I don't know about you, I still believe what you told me when we met, that you want to be the healer of broken bones and broken hearts. And I still believe God has called you here as a healer, even if right now you might not believe that yourself.
Looks like I'm caught again. But it's different. No, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I only meant to...
Joey, I think he's back.
Look, I need to explain
We'll
about...
finish this later. Don't worry. Right now, you're Dr. Stuart Thomas, and as Dr. Thomas, you're needed. There's a boy out there who thinks you're a godsend. And for the first time in his life, he has a father figure, and I'm
No,
not...
I didn't ask to be a father figure.
Right now, I'm not concerned with what you want. I'm not letting anyone take that away from him, not even you. You'll think it's something to tell him. And whether I like it or not, I'll go along with what you say. And I'll keep your secret, at least for now. Besides, I'm not the one you need to explain things to. That old man is. And you better think fast, Doc, because everybody here is back at the shock of their life. And I'm not sure we're ready for it.
Thank God we made it.
Yes, thank God.
We weren't sure we would. I got lost twice just getting to the cabin.
Well, you're here now, and that's all that matters.
I stopped as often as I could to get the snow off of him. I didn't want him to freeze on top of everything else.
Well, you did good, Joey. Now I'm proud of you.
So am I, Cowboy. Now, let Doc take over now. Hey, let me help you get that boot off. Now, that foot has to be hurting mighty fierce, and you gotta be as frozen as Mr. Sloan.
Surprising as this is, I'm not. I was so cold and hurting so bad I didn't think I'd make it. But once I got so busy helping him, I forgot about myself. I barely hurt at all now. And I didn't have time to think about how scared I was of Thunder. Once he saw how determined I was, he quit fighting me.
Mr. Sloan's room is all set up now. What else can we do?
Well, for the moment, I want to keep him here till he's warm clear through. Buck, I need you to bring in some of those shop lights from the barn. Hook them up to anything you can find in Mr. Sloan's room so I'll have operating lights if necessary. Miss Murphy, take all the medicine bottles that Joey brought back and line them up on the left-hand side of Mr. Sloan's dresser. Put them in order of dosage, beginning with what he probably took this morning. And next to those, line up the medicines Buck brought from the clinic in alphabetical order. Then make me a chart of all the medicines and tack it to the wall by the dresser. Joey, you're going to be my medical assistant just in case. But first, I need you to grab a notebook and write down some observations for me. Write down anything you observed in Mr. Sloan's cabin that might be helpful. Food left out on the counter. Where and how it looked like he fell. Anything he may have been holding when you found him. That kind of thing. Then, write down any observations about his appearance or behavior. How he looked. How he felt to the touch. Was there anything he tried to say? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Marcy, I'm going to need 2 large bowls of hot water and several towels. Now, one bowl we'll use for Mr. Sloan. The other one we'll use for disinfecting and sanitizing his room. And I'm going to need that small cart from the kitchen, the one with wheels. And I need you to put on it every cleaning supply you have.
Okay.
Elizabeth!
Yes.
We're going to need that broth for Mr. Sloan, but not too hot. And we're also going to need lots of coffee, sandwiches, and fruit. Now, we're all going to be taking shifts watching Mr. Sloan throughout the night, and the food will keep us going. Now, Buck said that food wasn't the answer to everything. But at least for tonight, it will be the answer for a lot of things. Okay, everyone, you have your duties. Let's get this clinic open for business. Now I'll take the first watch. If all goes well, then Buck, you can help me move Mr. Sloan up to his room in about 2 hours. Then you and Miss Murphy can take the next watch. You can keep each other company to make the night go easier. For now, everyone try and get a little rest. I'll call if I need you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sloan. It's time you and I had a little talk. I'll talk. You just listen. Shh. Don't talk. We don't want anybody coming in here. At least not yet. Now you'll be able to talk again soon, but for now it's best you keep quiet. It's not like you have a choice, though. Now I know you've had quite a shock, and I'm not talking about your stroke. First, you're going to be fine. And whatever else I am, I'm a good doctor. It may take a while, but you'll be fine. I don't want you worrying about that. Now to get to what's really on your mind. Now, I know you didn't expect to see me again, and frankly, I didn't expect to ever see you again. At least not like this. Now, I don't have time to tell you all about it now. I don't know when someone might walk in on us. But trust me. I know coming from me that doesn't mean much, but trust me anyway. I'm not here to hurt you. Now, I know you're ashamed of me, but that's why I came back. I have to...
Sorry, I found a notebook, but I need a pen from the desk.
I have to get a cup of coffee. It's going to be a long night.
Think I had just what the doctor ordered. One for you and one for me.
Oh, thanks. Something on your mind?
No. Yes. Let's talk.
Here?
No. I think it stopped snowing. Let's go on the porch. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Well, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Everyone's gone. And I doubt that Mr. Sloan's even conscious enough to be aware of us.
Fine.
So, what now?
I don't know.
Marcy, you're the one who said you wanted to talk. Now, what are you thinking?
Nothing. Everything. How about you?
The same.
Have you come up with any answers?
I'm not sure I even remember what the questions are anymore. Now, this changes everything.
This?
Well, Mr. Sloan, Joey, you and me.
There's no you and me.
You know what I mean.
No, Stu, I don't. But I need to. I want to.
Well, where would you like me to start?
How about with who you really are and why you're here?
I can only tell you that I can't tell you.
Can't or won't?
Does it really matter?
Oh, I suppose not. But tell me this. Why Ronan? It's as far away from everything in New York as possible.
Well, that's the idea. I needed a change. Simple as that.
Are you in trouble with the law? Or a woman?
No, at least not the way you're thinking. Now, there was a woman once, a long time ago. Well, we met in college. We dated seriously for a couple of years and planned on getting married just as soon as I completed my internship. But by the time my internship was over, we both realized that marriage would be a mistake. I had a mistress. That's what she called it anyway. She said I could never love or be committed to anyone as much as I was to my work. When I honestly thought about it, I realized she was right. After we broke off the engagement, I never dated again. I lost myself in my work.
Are you still lost?
I don't know if I'm lost or not, but I'm willing to look at it now.
Where is it you want to go?
Somewhere that, well, nowhere in particular.
Ronan's about as nowhere in particular as you can get.
Then I guess I must be home. Marcy, I know you deserve answers from me. You must be confused by all this. I know I am. But I can't give you those answers. At least not yet, anyway. Maybe someday.
Some days never come. Stu Thomas, and I know that's not your real name. I don't know why you're here, and I may never know. I can live with that. Whatever you're hiding from, I don't care. But I do care for everyone inside this house, and I will not let you hurt them, any of them. As I see it, this is where we stand. I do believe you're a doctor. I've seen your work, and I believe you came from New York. Beyond those two things, I question everything about you. What you're hiding from concerns me, but it doesn't frighten me. Somewhere deep down inside of you, a part of you is living a lie. Someday that lie will be exposed. And when that happens, and mark my words, it will happen, I will be here to help you in any way I can. But know this, and know it well. If necessary, I am capable of doing my own investigation. And if I ever have reason to believe your lie will hurt someone I care for, I will not hesitate to expose you. You're welcome to stay here as long as you want, or need to. Just keep your suitcase handy. Do we have an understanding?
Yes, sir, ma'am. We have an understanding. But as long as we're putting our cards on the table, let me ask you a question.
Go on.
Why are you so willing to accept my secret?
Remember, we all have secrets.
Even you?
Even me.
Now, I find that hard to believe. I don't think you're capable of lying to anyone.
Well, there's more than one kind of lie, Stu. Well, there's the obvious blatant lie. Then there's a lie you tell someone when they ask you what you think of their hairdo, and you say, it looks great, even though you hate it. And then there's a lie when you simply don't tell all you know. It's not that you purposely lie, you simply keep back information, convincing yourself that it's the only way to prevent hurting someone.
Is that what you've done?
It's getting late. We need to get some rest. We don't know what tomorrow may bring.
Good morning, everyone.
Well, good morning. We held breakfast off thinking you might want to sleep in a little extra after last night.
Well, I appreciate that, but I've already been out to... thanks. But the ones who need the extra sleep are Buck and Miss Murphy. Now, when it was my second watch with Mr. Sloan, they wouldn't let me. They said he was sleeping comfortably and that they'd wake me if there was any problems. They never woke me.
That's funny. They said the same thing to me.
And me.
That must be how the tree got decorated. While we slept, they decorated it.
You know, once I came out to get some coffee and I heard them talking and laughing like school children. Apparently, Mr. Sloan's not the only one Dr. Stewart's been helping lately. I think he had a plan all along with the two of them on the same ship last night.
Nonsense. Now, it was just practical is all.
Practical.
Oh my gosh, would you look at that?
Mom, what's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Look at the top of the tree.
A star. There's a new star.
Oh, quit your jabbering. It's nothing special. I was just tired of looking at the old one. New one was on sale is all. No big deal.
Of course, no big deal. But thank you anyway. Although it will be hard to get used to the tree without the old star. We've all kind of gotten used to it.
Oh, it won't go to waste. Buck had an idea.
Now, Jane, I don't think this is the time or the place to be
Sure
talking
it
about our
is.
ideas.
Buck figured that since next Christmas, he and I are going to have our own tree. We could sort of retire the old star and give it a new life at our place.
Congratulations.
Have you set a date yet?
Well, we figured sometime at the end of the school year. My students may want to get involved.
I don't see what all the carrying and fussing on is about. It's just simple logic is all. Well, we've been staying here so long together, we figure we must be able to tolerate each other.
Well, I'll miss having the two of you around. But maybe that's just God's confirmation.
What do you mean, Mom?
Well, I have something to tell you all. Let's have a seat. I was going to wait till after Christmas to say anything, but I may as well tell you now.
Marcy, you're scaring me. Are you ill?
Oh, no, Mom. Nothing like that. I'm fine. It's just that since Jim was my husband. Since Jim died, this hasn't been a working ranch. I've been able to keep the land and most of the outbuildings, but the cattle have been gone for years. And the only way I've been able to hold on the house is to use it for a boarding house. But except for Stu coming to town, no one new's moved here for years. People move away from Ronan. No one moves to Ronan. And without people moving to town, there's just no need for a boarding house. So, I've decided to sell. Now, I know I can't get what the land's worth, but I can get enough to care for Mom and me someplace else. Maybe someplace where the winters aren't so hard.
But what about me?
You're practically a grown man, son. You'll be moving out soon, and you need to find your own dream.
Say, Cowboy, well, I know it isn't Christmas, but I think now might be the right time for you to open a Christmas present. It's from all of us, but Doc Stewart picked it out.
Nah, it was Buck's idea.
Maybe it will help you find your own dream.
It looks...
Well, we won't know how it looks, Cowboy, until we see it on.
Thank you, everyone. I think I need to go check on Mr. Sloan.
Joey, I'm sorry. I just don't know what...
Sweetheart, leave him be. Leave him be. He's just had a bad shock. We all have. He'll get over it. This is the only home he's ever had. He'll just have to adjust. We all will.
I'm not so sure.
What do you mean?
Well, I've had an idea of my own that's been brewing around in my head, and I think maybe now is the time to spill it.
So spill it.
Well, coming from New York, I see things a little differently than all of you do. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing or not. Maybe it's just different.
One thing they didn't teach you in New York was how to talk plain. Now, will you just start talking?
Well, here it goes. Now, Marcy, you're right. People aren't moving to Ronan, but they are going through Ronan when they travel to Missoula and Kalispell.
So?
So take advantage of it. Now, your boarding house is just off the highway. With a little modification, you could turn this into a bed and breakfast. Now, more and more tourists are coming through here. And with Elizabeth's cooking, I think you'd have a sure thing.
Well, that's a wonderful idea, but I don't see
But
how...
what?
Even if I can make this work, it's still not going to give me enough income. There aren't that many tourists through here.
Now, I've already thought of that. That's where the rest of my idea comes in. Now, Elizabeth, you have a reputation of being the best...
what?
Not that kind of reputation. You have a reputation of being the best cook this side of the Rockies.
Well, thanks for the compliment. But I don't understand.
Well, with all the tourists coming through here, a few of them will want to stop and spend the night.
So?
Well, but all of them will want to eat.
Where? This place isn't big enough.
The barn.
The barn?
Yes, now that barn's pretty big. It'll make a nice restaurant. Now, it's too big to be wasted on just old Thunder. I can build him a smaller barn all his own. Now, I know it's not going to be easy, but I've been learning a lot about renovating by doing that old barn in town as my new clinic. Now, I figure I could have your barn renovated in, well, just a few weeks.
But how? When? Why?
I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, now I don't understand. Why would you want to do this? You don't even really know us.
Well, but I'd like to. Look, I know it's not going to be easy, and it's going to take a lot of work.
Jane and I will help.
Me too.
I'm counting on it.
Wait a minute, all of you. I appreciate the offer, but we might even be able to make it work. The fact is, I can't afford it. And right now, I can't even get a bank loan.
Now, I've already thought of that, too. Now, I have the money
No way. Don't even think about it. It's a kind offer, Stu, but I am not going to borrow money from you.
Apparently, it's not only Montana cowboys who have pride. Now, just hear me out before you say anything. And if you still don't like my plan, then, well, honor your wishes.
All right, I'll listen.
Now, like I said, I have some investments in New York. And with that money, I can give you...
No, absolutely not.
As a loan! Whatever it takes for the construction. And we can even write out a contract, legal and everything. And you can pay me back from the profits you make as you are able.
But what if there are no profits?
Oh, I know there's going to be profits, remember? I've tasted Elizabeth's cooking. And as for the construction itself, well, that'll be my Christmas gift to you. You know, as you said to me once, let's work in kind. I'll be your landlord, and, well, you can be my landlord. What do you say?
I don't know what Marcy says, but you've got a deal, Doc.
Marcy?
You about ready to get a not quite open yet sign? I think I know someone who can use it.
Right, all right.
Oh, Father God, I don't know what to say except thank you. I never dreamed I could have the life you have given me. Oh, make my life count, Father. I just want to use all you have given me to serve others. But Father, I don't know what to do about, well, you know what. I just want to forget all about my past, but I know I can't because I know you can't. At least not until Where do I begin? What do I do? I came back here to face my past and to help heal lives where I once hurt them. But I'm afraid. This town has accepted me because they don't know who I am. But if they did, well, only you know what they would do. And Father, about Marcy and everything that she's done.
This is the last box from the storeroom. Where do you want these?
Oh, anywhere will be fine. I'll sort through it all later.
I know you're the one with the college education and everything, but I don't think folks around here will be much interested in these magazines.
And when was the last time you found an updated magazine in a doctor's office?
Good point. But if anyone wanted good reading, all they'd have to do is read this morning's town paper. This is the first time I can remember anything exciting happening in Ronan.
Oh, what do you mean?
You haven't heard? Well, I guess that you've been spending all your time finishing up here. You haven't had time to read the papers. Well, we haven't seen you home for 3 days.
I know, I've been trying to finish up here before Christmas. And let me tell you something. Oh! If you're not stiff and sore when you walk in here, you will be after a few hours on those exam tables.
Well, Doc, you must be the only person in Ronan that hasn't heard. Everybody's talking about it. Do you remember the blizzard back when Mr. Sloan had his stroke?
Yeah, what about it?
Do you remember all the roofs on Main Street that caved in from the weight of the snow?
So, that's what insurance is for.
Well, no one around here is able to pay a penny more than necessary for insurance, so there wasn't nearly enough coverage for the cost of rebuilding. Well, someone, anonymously, paid for all the repairs out of his own pocket. No one around here has that kind of money.
You don't say. I wonder who it could have been. You did say the person gave anonymously.
Right, anonymously. But it couldn't have been someone from around here. The reporter did some checking and could only discover that the money was wired from back east.
Well, maybe the giver just wanted people to consider it as a gift from God.
Well, that's what the article said. But how could you have known that unless you... I have to admit, Doc, you have learned a lot about renovating. I never thought this old barn could look this good.
Actually, neither did I.
Will you be bringing Mr. Sloan here soon?
Oh, no need. I'll be sending him home tomorrow. Now remember, Joey, this isn't a hospital, it's only a clinic. If he stays at your mom's boarding house any longer, she's going to start charging him rent.
Yeah, but I'm beginning to think he likes it there.
With your grandmother's cooking? What's not to like?
True, but I think it's more than that.
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know. Just a feeling I have. I've always thought Mr. Sloan was a mean old man. He may be old, but he's not mean. Not at all. It's strange, and I can't really explain it. He just seems comfortable, I guess. Like he enjoys being around people. Maybe he only acted like a hermit because people treated him like a hermit. There may be more to Mr. Sloan than we see.
Well, I'm sure there is. Isn't there more to most of us than what people see?
It's strange. He can't even talk yet, but it's like he's wanting to say something important. His eyes follow me when I enter the room. And I've noticed something else, too.
Well, what's that?
Well, I know it doesn't make sense, since you saved his life and all, but I don't think he likes you. Every time you enter the room, he sort of stiffens up and starts mumbling like a hurt puppy. It's like he thinks you're going to hurt him. Well, I know it doesn't make sense. Why would he do that?
Well, maybe I remind him of someone he knew once.
Maybe. When do you think you'll be open for business?
Soon. I want to be open before Christmas because I want to have your place ready for tourists as soon as possible.
You can't imagine what your help has meant to my mom and grandma. And me. I've never told this to anyone before, but I imagine my father as being a lot like you.
Oh, thanks, Joey. I appreciate that. Now, you've grown to mean a lot to me, too. Like the son I never had. Now, I know what it's like not to have a father around when you really need him. I'm a grown man, and I still miss my dad.
Is he dead?
No, it just seems that way sometimes.
Well, then go back to him. Patch things up. At least you saw the chance.
It's
Never
not.
will.
It's not that easy.
Sure it is. Isn't that what you'd tell me if I was on the outs with my father?
Yes, but
As the saying goes, cowboy up and get it done. Now, I don't know what happened between you and your father, but I know that if I had a chance to have a father, nothing would stop me. Do you know where your father is?
yes, but
No buts about it. Well, here, call him.
I don't know the number.
That's what the operator's for. Where does he live? I'll get the number.
Wait. I'd rather just pay him a visit. It would mean more to me.
Promise me something then, and I'll leave you alone about it. Promise me you will see your father before Christmas.
I promise you, Joey. I will see my father before Christmas.
That's good enough for me.
You're as tough to deal with as your mother.
Where do you think I learned it all?
Do you know much about your father?
No, Mom doesn't ever talk about him, and she never answers my questions. Well, I think she's ashamed of him, but I don't know why. All Grandma tells me is that I have to get my answers from Mom. And all Mom says is that soon after I was born, he did something bad one night. Some kind of stupid prank, I think, with another kid. They were caught. I don't know what happened after that. No one will tell me. I've heard bits and pieces from other people. Some say the other kid died or ran away. No one has ever told me what happened to my father. It's like the whole town is ashamed of him. All Mom says is that it drew her closer to God after that. She was alone except for Grandma and me, and she had to learn to depend on God. She's my mom and all, but she's pretty tough. I know her strength comes from God. She'd be the first one to tell you. It's been a hard life, but a good one.
Joey, I've got something to tell you. It's something about what happened that night with...
We thought you two hard workers might be ready for some lunch. We brought a picnic fit for a team. Well, at least a doctor and a cowboy.
This place looks great. You two have really been working. It's great you've got this place looking. I can't even imagine you to my place.
Marcy, I've got something to tell you. Now, it's important. It has to do with what...
Whatever it is, it can wait. Your lunch is getting cold. Besides, we have a special Christmas present for you.
That it's not Christmas yet.
Well, we couldn't wait. We all talked about what we could get you for Christmas as a special thank you for everything that you've done for us. All of us. And we figured this would be the biggest surprise that we could give you. Now close your eyes.
Miss Murphy, I'm not one of your little school children.
Hush up, or I'll make you stand in the corner. There, ready?
Ready, but I can't imagine what you'd be so excited about. Hello, son.
No, Mr. Sloan. This is Doc Stewart. He saved your life after your stroke, remember now?
No, Buck. Mr. Sloan is my father.
I don't understand what's going on.
None of us do.
But Marcy knows. Don't you, Marcy?
At least a little. But this is your story, Steve, and you need to tell it. Remember the words from your sermon? Speaking every man the truth to his neighbor? This town's ignored this story for too long. Secret lives must come to the front.
Ronan is a city of actors. Each man playing his part so well, he no longer remembers he's acting.
That's from my journal. You read my journal. I trusted you. I told you I wasn't ready for anyone to read my writing, and you read it anyway. I was wrong about you. I hate you. And I don't want your stupid hat.
Joey, wait! Now let me explain. You may still hate me, but it's going to be for something I deserve. No, I didn't read your journal on purpose. I accidentally picked it up when I thought I was picking up my journal. Remember, they look alike.
Joey, we can discuss your journal later. Right now, there's something more important to discuss here. Go on, Dr. Stewart.
It doesn't appear that's even your real name. And you called yourself a preacher. I suppose that's a lie, too. Tell me, Dr. Stewart, is there anything about you that's not a lie?
Yes, Joey, there is. Two things. First, I really am a doctor from New York. And second, I really do care for you. All of you.
I'll bet.
I deserve that. Now, I know I've hurt you. And I'm sorry for that. I really am.
Too late for apologies. I don't believe you. Tell your lies to someone who cares. I'm leaving.
Joey, you stay right here, and you hear Doc Stewart out.
Why?
Because I said so. And because I believe him.
Why do you believe him? He's lied to us since he got here. You don't even know who he really is.
Yes. Yes, I do. I know exactly who he is. And I've been just as much to blame for the lies he has. Joey, Doc knows what really happened to your father, and he may be the only one who knows. But by my keeping my part of the story secret all these years, I've been just as much to blame as Doc has.
We all are.
Grandma, you know about this?
Not until just now. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm beginning to put the puzzle together.
Please, everyone, I want to tell you the whole story. Father, I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you most of all. I love you, Dad. I always have.
I love you too, son.
Many years ago, I was maybe 14 years old. Something happened one Christmas Eve. Dad and I had gotten into a fight. I don't even remember anymore what it was about. I stormed out of the house and decided to hitch a ride into town. An older teen. I don't even remember his name.
Jim. His name was Jim.
Jim picked me up and offered me a ride. Now, he had some beer in his truck, and by the time we got to town, we were both pretty drunk. He was as angry and upset as I was. He had just had his first real fight with his new wife, and he had stormed out of the house. He told me he had a brand new baby at home. This would be his first Christmas with his wife and baby. Now, he was real sorry about the fight, wanted to make it up to his wife, but he didn't know how. It was Christmas Eve, and he didn't have any money for Christmas presents. So we hit on a plan. I don't even remember whose idea it was at the time. Old man, Mr. Withers.
Withers.
Yes, is that important?
Andrew Withers.
I don't know. Buck, it doesn't matter what his name was. Please, no, this is...
Stu, I have to know. Did he have two sons?
Yes, maybe. Why?
Well, Stu,
Buck, please, you're making me nervous.
Well, I was just concerned about the ladies, is all.
And
I was suspicious of you at first. You were so secretive, remember? Well, when you moved into the house, I had to think of the welfare of the ladies. So I asked around town about you. Of course, it was like you said, you being from New York and all, no one really knew anything about you except... Well, I was at the barber shop and I was telling the guys there about you. I thought it was strange that you had just come to town and you already seemed to know a lot about us already. Well, it was when I mentioned that you knew about both fires, the one in 1912 and the one in 1928, when Ben Withers spoke up. Now, Ben is one of Andrew Withers' sons. He wouldn't tell me what he was thinking, but he said that he had heard about the new stranger in town and had a few suspicions of his own to check out. Then he just got up and left. Didn't even get his hair cut. Stu, I don't know what story you're about to tell us, but if Ben has anything on you, you would better hightail it out of town, and I mean now. Ben is not someone you want to mess around with, especially if this has anything to do with his dad. I've seen the results of more than one of his drunken brawls. Ben always comes out the winner.
Oh, Buck, everyone, I'll leave, but not until I've told you my story. And actually, I doubt that I'll leave even then. Now, I am through running. I've been running my whole life, even when I didn't know it. And now, I'm going to finish my story. And then we can talk about my leaving. But not until then. Understood?
Understood.
Now, Mr. Withers had more sheep than he knew what to do with. We figured he wouldn't miss one little lamb. Jim thought that if he could get a lamb for his baby for Christmas, then his wife would be pleased. And we almost got away with it, too. We were feeling the effects of the beer and it slowed us down. Mr. Withers saw me get stuck in a fence with the lamb in my arms. I yelled for Jim to help me. I'd never been so scared before. Jim saw that I was stuck and about to be caught by Mr. Withers. Marcy, it's important for you to know this. Now, Jim had not been seen yet. He could have gotten away. No one would have ever known he was involved. But he didn't. He chose to come back and help me. Now, Mr. Withers and his sons reached me about the same time Jim did. A fight broke out. Mr. Withers had a gun. Somehow Jim was shot. Now, he gave his life for me. He didn't have to!
Is that why you came back? To tell me my father was a drunk and a thief? Well, you could have done that and left already. So why stay?
I didn't know who you were when I came to town. Even after I met you, I still didn't make the connection. Remember, that was the only time I had ever met Jim. Joey, I didn't know who you were till just a few minutes ago when you told me about your father. But your mom had this figured out a long time ago, didn't you?
You knew, Mom? This man killed my father and you let him stay in our home? Why?
Let him finish his story, Joey. I think you'll understand.
Well, back in those days, they had a tradition in this part of the country. If a man was caught stealing sheep, he was branded. Here, look at this. Now, that's what the ST stands for. Not Stu Thomas or Stallion Trainer. ST stands for Sheep Thief. Now, I couldn't stand the way they treated me after that night. Especially after Jim's funeral. Joey, remember, I was just a kid. I knew if I would have stayed here in town, then I would always be hated and remembered as being a thief. People treated Dad differently too after that night. That was the hardest part of all. They said it was his fault, that he was a bad father, and I knew that wasn't true. Dad, I couldn't bear what they were saying about you. I didn't leave because I hated you. I left because I loved you. I thought that if I left, then maybe people would forget about what happened. And I was right, for the most part. After I left, I changed my name from Stuart Sloan to Stuart Thomas and started over in New York. Now, I wanted a place big enough I could hide in. But the problem was, the person I was hiding from was still here inside me no matter where I went. One night when I was out walking the streets, I ended up inside a storefront mission where I was led to the Lord. Now, the mission director was good to me. He helped me go to Bible college and medical school. Now, that never would have happened if I would have stayed here in Ronan. But Marcy, when we first met, I told you about an anonymous benefactor who helped me out. That benefactor was your husband. If he had not saved my life that night, I never would have become a doctor. I had spent the last 20 years trying to help people. I pastored a church for a while, but my past was always hanging over my head. So I decided that if I became a medical doctor, then I could still help people and have the opportunity to tell them about life with God. And that worked for a while. I didn't feel like I had to pretend about my past. But no matter how hard I tried to get on with my life, I just couldn't get past that night. I knew I had to come back here and make things right. I decided that if I came back here and proved to everyone that I had changed, that God had done a work in my life, then I could go on.
So even the good things you did here were all a lie. The clinic offering free medical aid, the money for the repairs on Main Street, even the work at our place. It was all just part of your act. I was right about the people of Ronan. They are all actors, and you have the starring role.
No, Joey, at least I didn't mean it that way. No, I sincerely wanted to help people. I never said a word to you about those repairs to the buildings on Main Street. Now, you figured that out on your own. And I never wanted to help you out at your place to trick you or try and get anything from you in return. Now, my offer still stands, if you'll let it. I was just afraid that if everyone here knew who I was from the beginning, you never would have given me a chance to prove how God can change a life. Please forgive me. I meant well. I just did it all wrong.
We forgive you. And I've never known you as Stuart Sloan, so you'll always be Dr. Stewart to me. And I don't care about your past. God used you to change my life today, and for that, I'll always care about you.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you both. There's still one thing I don't understand.
What's that?
You knew who I was all along, yet you still invited me into your home. Why? I'm responsible for your husband's death.
No, Stu, you're not. You're not responsible for his death. He is. He didn't have to come back to help you. He chose to. And until just now, I didn't know what happened that night. All I knew was that 2 drunk kids pulled a stupid stunt that went bad. I will never be glad that night happened, and the memory will always be painful. But God used that event to draw me to Him as my Savior. I knelt at Jim's casket in the same church you preached in, and I gave my life to Jesus Christ. It hasn't been an easy life, but it's been a good life.
Can you ever forgive me?
There's nothing to forgive. Stu, I forgave you as Christ forgave me at Jim's casket. But I've been just as guilty as the rest of Ronan for playing my part on stage. Joey, I never lied to you, but by not telling you the whole story, at least what I knew of it, I was living a lie also. Please forgive me. I understand why Stu is afraid of us knowing the truth, because I was afraid of you knowing the truth. I thought you would blame me for the fight I had with your dad, the fight that sent him out of the house that night. Joey, I need you to forgive me.
Like you said, Mom, there is nothing to forgive.
Oh, Stu, I almost forgot. We all chipped in and got you a little Christmas gift.
Mom picked it out. She was very specific.
You've already given me the best Christmas gift I could ever hope for. How can I take anything else?
It's just a little reminder of your new life. But first, there's something I have to do.
This is the most beautiful present I have ever received. I don't understand.
It's time. You stopped hiding from your past. That isn't who you are anymore. God has changed your life.
But when they see my mark, they're always going to see
They will see what we see. Doesn't ST stand for Saint?
Thanks, Cowboy.
As is true of all good legends, the story has grown with time. But that's not important. What is important to remember is this. One Christmas, long ago, a stranger arrived in Ronan, Montana. His love touched everyone he knew. No, he didn't change the world, but he changed his world. And he changed Ronan, and he changed me. After a while, when he knew that his time there was finished, he moved on. But that's another story for another time. Everywhere he went, lives were changed. But before he left, I was ready to take over the clinic he started. It still isn't much of a clinic, but it's all we need. It keeps me plenty busy, but not so busy I can't write a book now and then. Maybe you've read one of them. Maybe not. If you're ever passing through this part of the country and you're hungry for a good meal or good company or just a good story, stop in at the New Heart Inn. It's somewhere about halfway between Missoula and Kalispell. The sign at the city limit still says Ronan. But for those of us who live here, it will always be known as the Healing City.
Joey, you better hurry with that story. Mr. Johnson's son just got thrown again from that horse you gave him. He's bringing the boy into the clinic with a broken arm. I declare, sometimes I think you gave him that horse just so you could stay in business and have a chance to keep sharing the gospel with him.
Maybe I did, hon. Maybe I did.
Well, you all witnessed a story tonight of a life moving from deception to redemption. Isn't God wonderful? Amen. Now, the doctor made a comment during this play. He said, when he was talking to God, he said, I never dreamed I could have the life you have given me. Wouldn't it be tragic to give up too early before God had a chance to do that work in your life that he intended to do all along? Don't ever give up. Even in your darkest moment, do not give up. You've been a great audience tonight. We're going to be meeting out in the courtyard and to greet you. And if you have anything on your heart you'd like to pray with us about, we'll be glad to pray with you. And if you'd like to know the living Savior tonight, we would be more than happy to show you the way. Let's stand. Let's be dismissed.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to do ministry here, Lord. And we just thank you for these wonderful people that came out, Lord, and you blessed us with a wonderful audience tonight, Lord. I pray that you will touch their hearts with the message of the show, Lord, and just keep whatever message it is that you gave them from the show on their hearts, Lord, and bring it back to them until it produces the fruit that you want it to produce, Lord. We just ask for safe journeys home, and we thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
This has been probably one of the best experiences that I have had with a show at the theater because it's been one of the most personal for me. I had first heard the story from a sermon in my church that I was attending in Ronan, and at the time I had seen enough lives that had been changed by the power of God in Ronan by cowboys, and I had seen God do a lot of work, and I wanted people to realize God can change the life of anybody. most of the personalities come from my own family. My mother's name was Marcy. My father was a cowboy named Buck, very much like the character of Buck in the story. My grandmother was named Elizabeth and had a reputation as being the best cook that side of the Rockies. And Joey, the really poor Montana cowboy that just wanted to be a writer, you can guess who that is. When I wrote the show, in my mind, I had pictured Mike as a very good possibility for the lead. Nobody else did I really have a picture for. Some of the cast members absolutely surprised me. I was extremely impressed with all of them, especially Brandon. The fact that he was a redhead just added to it. I really loved working with him. He is not only an excellent actor, but he's got a wonderful, wonderful spirit. Lucille is so much like my own grandmother that I want to call her Grandma. And Jenny was able to give me good memories of my own mother, while I think John Griggs did a better job of portraying my father than maybe my own father could have done. And I was able to see a side of him that helped in my own healing of my relationship with my father. And watching John Griggs portray Buck was probably one of the best healing experiences I have had on the stage. There is one character in the show that is a very minor character, at least as far as the audience is concerned, but to me, one of the most important characters, and that is the character of Renee. Because although it's a very minor role, Renee is the character that really comes in and saves the day. In real life, I was not raised as much by my father and mother as I was by my older sister, Renee. So any success that I may have experienced as a writer, as a dramatist, as a really poor Montana cowboy, anything that I have succeeded in is due more from my sister Renee than it is anybody else. This was probably the most personal of all of my stories because my own family was involved. I wrote about my home and the people in my home. I just hope that they don't hold it against me.
Oh, are we rolling and ready?
Good morning. We didn't expect, we held the breakfast, sorry. Let's do that again. Oh, yay. Okay, gotta change. Whoa, that's slippery. We're gonna put all the gloves, right?
Okay, that's good. If the lights go off, she'll be out that door.
It's a good thing.
But I think that, let's do it again.
Sorry.
Oh, that's right. What is this whole thing? Yeah. Otherwise, the note is hanging on the door. Just sign your name and reason on the way out. Oh. Oh, yeah. Boy, talk about a blooper scene. There is a Bible principle here. Well, let me show you. You're going to have to cut.